Brock Lesnar has returned to WWE. Night 2 of SummerSlam 2025 closes with a returning beast who attacks John Cena, who is no longer WWE champion, by the way. Man, that is an intro I did not expect to be making, but we're going to be breaking down everything that took place tonight on SummerSlam Sunday, and including that big ending we saw just there as well, right after this one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, so welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and we are here for the instant reaction review of Night 2 of SummerSlam 2025. And my goodness, what a way to end it. I did not expect to be coming on air talking about Brock Lesnar, that we had comments on the build-up for Night 1 and for Night 2 about Brock Lesnar, and I just kept saying, no, I just don't see it. But I guess at some point, someday, he was going to be coming back. Of course, there's been a lot of controversy and discussion around Brock Lesnar over the past few years that we don't really know the ins and outs of, let's be honest, but it led me to believe that we wouldn't be seeing Brock Lesnar back anytime soon. But, well, we've got him back. A few comments here already. Casper's in the house once again. Hope you enjoyed the show, buddy. OMG, never thought Brock Lesnar is back. OMG. And Kieran, who I know did actually ask about Lesnar in tonight's build-up show. Yeah, surprised and very, very happy, I'm sure, there as well. Yeah, huge news, as we say. Brock Lesnar has returned at the end of the main event of Night 2 of SummerSlam 2025. And I said it earlier on, he's kind of synonymous with these events, right? And it kind of just made sense. When his music hit, I was like, yeah. It's also synonymous with John Cena, right? John Cena's career, Cena came up at a time when Brock was already the made guy. He was the next big thing. Well, Cena was actually the next big thing after that. And it was apparent. You had the F5 and the FU, and their careers kind of started to go, hand in hand a little bit. And then, of course, Cena took over as Brock Lesnar went away, and then Brock Lesnar come back, of course, surprising a few years ago now, 2013 it might have been, something like that, essentially. Comes back the night after WrestleMania, attacks Cena in a very similar fashion to what we saw here tonight. Essentially, just gets in the ring, gives him F5, and it led to a really good match between the two, if I remember correctly, at Backlash as well. Man, what are we going to get here? I mean, I was coming on air ready to talk about Cena losing the title. Of course, if you're just joining us and maybe you haven't really seen what's been going on, yeah, Cena is no longer the champion anymore. Cody Rhodes is the WWE champ. We're going to get into that and all the big stories coming out of SummerSlam overall. But I do want to know what you guys thought of the show. I did feel like it was way better paced than last night's show. I enjoyed it a lot more. It had a massive ending. We talked about whether or not an ending could live up to what we saw yesterday. I'll still say when it goes down in history, the Seth moment is going to be a lot bigger. But still, they did a good job giving us a nice little surprise at the end of Night 2 as well. But Night 2 overall, I thought, again, was very enjoyable. A way better paced show. Just more impressive matches. Even though I think last night people, people performed very well. For me, just some of the matches started to drag. The pacing was a little off last night, and some of the results I weren't too happy with. But tonight, I felt a little bit different. I really did feel like there was a bit more energy in the show itself. I mean, it had to be when they had these kind of huge matches. We had a TLC match, we had a cage match, we had a street fight, we had a no DQ match. Every single match tonight was a title match, by the way. It was a packed show, and it kind of makes me think they should have balanced Night 1 and Night 2 a little bit better. I think we kind of had the same issue with WrestleMania this year as well. But look, big story coming out of this one, of course, is the fact that Brock Lesnar surprisingly is back in WWE. Where do they go from this point? Surely it's just going to be him and Cena going forward, because I was starting to think if they rushed Cena's babyface turn here. But like it kind of makes sense now because they had a story to tell very quickly. We don't have a lot of time left. Michael Cole was cut off saying it twice in that last portion there. He was trying to get out, that we had 4 months left. We've just gone into August, of course. So, yeah, judging by how you count it, if he retires mid-December, maybe just 3.5, really. But it's coming thick and fast, and they've got to get these big matches out there. And Brock Lesnar versus John Cena is another one of those classic matches from John Cena's career that, makes sense to put into his final year. Now, it maybe takes away from other things that could happen in his final year, such as, getting, in there with some younger talents, which I expected to see more of. But hey, look, we've got a few months left. We'll see where this Brock Lesnar one takes us. Is Brock Lesnar going to be in Paris now? Is that what's happening? Or is this being moved to a later date? It's really hard to tell. Johnny Black's back with us as well. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for joining us on the Instant Reaction Review. So I didn't expect that one. I need some sleep. It's 4:53 in the morning in Greece. Good night, everyone. Johnny, thank you so much for tuning in and dropping your comments either way. Look, you can catch the replay of this on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, I'm sure, the on-demand version. But again, I appreciate you popping in and giving your 2 cents there. We are coming up to 3 a.m. here in the UK, so we're a little bit in front of you, mate, but I do appreciate that. I'm feeling quite tired myself. But look, it's 3 a.m. We are here live. I've got a bit of energy, don't get me wrong, because it was a big way to go out of SummerSlam weekend. But let's go right the way back to the very beginning. Again, we're going to break down all the big stories coming out of tonight, including each and every one of the matches themselves. So we're going to start with what we saw as the opening match. Of course, we saw rumors going around about what the order was going to be. It turned out to be correct once again. And again, thank you for those that brought that to our attention on the build-up show. If you're new here, basically on the build-up, what we do is get hyped up and in the mood for the PLE. And then on these instant reaction reviews, well, you guessed it, we review the show as well. Daniel Wiley says Brock is back. WTF. Yeah, we're going to get to that in more detail very soon, Daniel. But man, what a shocking end to the show for sure. I thought something might be coming, but I just was thinking, what, is The Rock just going to come out at the end now? Like, what's going to happen? Is he going to come out and beat up Cena because he's angry with him? Kind of like the NWO Hogan thing that we alluded to on the build-up show earlier on as a bit of a comparable thing as well. But no, it wasn't to be. It's Brock Lesnar. But again, let's go right back to the beginning of the show. Triple H opens this time. No Cardi B in sight, and she's not involved in this match as some may have predicted earlier as well. But this does open up this night. Again, Triple H comes out first of all, but then we get Naomi, Rhea and Iyo Sky. A really fun match, as expected, as hoped for, because they really did deliver, the two of them at least at Evolution, and Naomi's been fantastic in everything she's done lately, I felt as well. Cool entrance for Rhea Ripley, nice big purple smoke. Very cool entrance for Naomi as well, getting her dad out there playing guitar, apparently some big shot guitar player, so that was pretty cool. Strange when you think like they've never talked about it before, but I guess it didn't really fit in with her character before. But really cool to see that. Getting into the match though, the faces tried to work together as quick as they could to kind of trap Naomi. She cleverly gets out of it by Rhea, ducking Rhea's kick into Iyo, and that kind of falls apart from there as far as the good guys go, because that doesn't really work when you usually get the heels working together essentially, and then they accidentally hit each other. So you kind of need to hurry that up as the baby face. That kind of that portion of the match can't go on too long if they're baby faces. But I thought they handled it really well, and the way that got out of it, as I say, was quite clever. Some big moments in this match though. Really enjoyed Naomi's selling of the knee smashes. I thought it was fantastic as Iyo ran up to her in the corner. She kind of come to and went, no, sort of thing. I couldn't quite see what she was saying, but it just seemed like she was pleading with her and like realizing, because a lot of times the selling is what puts me off of certain kind of moves and kind of things in wrestling really, where it's like, well, and we saw it plenty of times all the time, where you're waiting for a move to happen, but at least kind of what it felt like Naomi was doing was snapping out of it and being like, oh my god, whoa, where am I at? Don't come at me, So really kind of enjoyed the subtle things that Naomi was doing in her performance tonight. But then you've got the bigger things as well, moving out of the way from the moonsault, which they cleverly likened to the triple threat at WrestleMania, where Bianca was basically in the same slot that Naomi was in, but she moved out of the way, and Iyo hit straight onto Rhea, and quite a clever move from the heel Naomi, who's been scouting essentially. Also, really good. This is a kind of big praise fest for Naomi here, but I loved one of the high knees that she hit. I think it was to Iyo. Really cool. Riptide gets hit, but Iyo breaks up the pin. Rhea tells the cameraman to move out of the way so she can do a flip to the outside. Also hits the sunset flip bomb into Naomi by Iyo. It's kind of a chaos on the outside essentially at this point. A nice cool like top rope setup of the Riptide, not your traditional just climb up together now let me pick you up. She defended herself in a kind of an interesting way that still allowed her to bring Iyo into that position. Hits the Riptide, but doesn't pick up the victory because Naomi runs straight up to her, rolls her back with a schoolboy, and picks up the win and retains the championship. A fantastic opening match and a great feel-good moment as well. Look, I know she's a heel. It's not meant to be a feel-good moment, but let's be real. A lot of us fans really just appreciate the work she's done and wanted her to kind of get more flowers, essentially. Rhea showing frustration at the end of this match as well. I thought was quite interesting. It reminded me of that kind of run up to WrestleMania where she was annoyed with herself, essentially, for having lost the title. And a lot of this is kind of worked around Iyo now. So back then, I wasn't sure if she was going to turn heel or just become more vicious. But yeah, they really played into it with that ending as well. So I really enjoyed that one. Daniel says, I thought Cody was going to turn. We're going to get to that later, Daniel. But yeah, so many people did expect it. And as the match went on, it really started to feel that way. We've got a hello here as well. Can't see your name, but thanks for joining us. I don't know why your name's not coming up there, but thank you very much for tuning in. Casper says, I did feel a bit wasn't as exciting in bits of the show, but it did pick up a decent show. Did enjoy Naomi versus Iyo and Rhea. I felt this match was exciting. Maybe it's just me. No, I agree, Casper. I think, there was definitely points where I started to think, it's dipping a little bit here, but nowhere near as much as night one did. An overall really enjoyable show. And as you say, started off with an absolute banger of a match between the three women in the women's title match. So really enjoying way to start the show. And again, Naomi picks up the victory. Then, talking about a banger of a match, TLC. I mean, we all expected this would be huge, and we were talking on the build-up show about how there were 6 teams, so therefore 12 people, and I even said, maybe the Wyatt Six are going to get involved as far as the rest of them go, and there'll be even more. It wasn't even just them. Candice LeRae got involved. B-Fab got involved. This was a crazy match. It started out with a nice little introduction to the Dudleys and the Hardys, announcing that they were celebrating the 25th anniversary of the first TLC at WrestleMania 2000. Of course, on the build-up show, Andy alluded to the Hardys and said maybe they'll, kind of hinted that he thought maybe they might be surprise entrants or something like that. Sadly, wasn't the case, but cool to see them there. And the guys in the match had kind of a lot to live up to, right? And a lot of people in the audience to impress, namely 4 of the 6 innovators of the TLC match as well. Bit of a shame, of course, Edge and Christian weren't there, but, contractual stuff and all that good stuff as well. They did manage to promote their match at Bound for Glory, though. Coming up, of course, it's been promoted as the last time ever between the Hardys and Team 3, as they're known in TNA. But yeah, a really enjoyable match. I thought it was very fun. I'll get to some of the kind of big spots again, just to kind of run through some of the things that we saw. Everybody attacked the Wyatts straight away, which was kind of, I think, a clever way to do it. It was interesting because the Wyatts are so beloved, right, as a group, but they are definitely heels, and they were definitely getting booed in this match, playing the role of heels. And I don't think that meant people don't like them. They want them to do well. Like all of us on the panel tonight were saying, look, we want them to win here because if they don't, it'll be a bit of a scary sign for their future. But I'm a lot more optimistic now. They started with a big focus on them, as I say, the baby faces. Well, everyone, I should say, attacked them. Gacy misses the ladder in a really awkward spot with the Street Profits, but they do it again anyway, and he lands right on it and bounces off. There were so many big moments in this match. I was honestly struggling to keep writing notes, so I don't have all the big high spots, but these are just some of the favorites that I just managed to write down at the time, and I'm trying to remember them as I go through essentially. But Phoenix jumping up on Andrade to try and capture the titles was fantastic. I know we've seen kind of similar before. I think Big Show's held people on his shoulders before, but the way Rey Fenix has dove up on top of Andrade's shoulders and actually nearly reached them was amazing. Gargano threw a very strong chair in the face of Alex Shelley, which was a little bit concerning. There were a lot of hard hits in this match, I should say. Next, after that, we had a big hit from he hits Gacy, I should say, with a DDT from the outside, inside to the outside of the ring, onto the side, through a table. Loomis then hits a wild kind of leg drop over the top rope as well onto Montez Ford through the table. Rey Fenix dives and does a beautiful frog splash through the table as well. Axiom and Angelo Dawkins have an incredible spot where Axiom hits Dawkins with a Spanish fly, and it was just as Tommaso Ciampa was getting off the table as well. So perfectly timed by all three of them. Beautiful, beautiful scenes there. Then we get Candice LeRae getting involved, and as I mentioned earlier on, that would be followed up by B-Fab and Nikki Cross, and it really did remind me of the second TLC at WrestleMania 17, where, as I said earlier on the build-up show, we saw Spike Dudley, Rhino, and Lita. Similar kind of theme here, and really, really enjoyable. Montez knocks Johnny into the ladder, which knocks Candice LeRae, his wife, of course, out of the ring and diving through a ladder, kind of face and body first, awful stuff. Like, it was a scary landing, but fantastic. It was the first, as much as I'd seen incredible spots here and great moments in the first match, it was the first moment that made me jump up and kind of say a word or two that I won't say on air here, essentially. But I was very, very excited by what I was seeing there. And props to Candice LeRae. Props to everyone in this match. But Candice LeRae in this moment was fantastic. I really hope she's doing all right, because it looked like a bit of a nasty fall. But it just reminds you, I mean, there was loads of talk recently about how she had faced, what was it? Was it Penta? In Lucha Underground. So, we know she can do these kind of and more hardcore style wrestling. I've seen it before with Candice LeRae. So, for her to take this spot, I think was fantastic. It was really just kind of highlighting what she can do. But yeah, a really, really enjoyable match. And even with the crazy shenanigans coming from the outside as well. Montez Ford sold that really beautifully as well. Like, quite funny. There was also an insane kind of fall forwards, like I say, into the table, where it does kind of feel a little bit concerning the way she fell, but I do feel like she probably planned to do that way, because again, judged by her style and stuff like that. Rowan stops Montez Ford though from getting the titles. Basically, they try to then control Rowan by attacking him with chairs, but he kind of comes out of it before then getting pushed straight back into the table and going through it, essentially. So now Rowan's involved as well. Then Ciampa moves from a crazy spear attempt, which was surely meant to make you feel WrestleMania 17 vibes, where Edge is about to do that spear and hits it on Jeff Hardy. But Ciampa lifts himself up in a spot I've never seen before. And I was talking to Andy, who was, of course, on the build-up show with us earlier on. As we were watching the show, we were texting a little back and forth, and he was saying how great of a spot that was. And I said to him, look, the fact that people can pull off these spots in matches that we've seen time and time again is always incredible. It's always exciting to see. So props to Ciampa. It looked fantastic. I saw some memes going around already of him looking like Spider-Man, hanging upside down on his web. Look, don't get me wrong. Back in the day, you didn't have that kind of golden thing that they put the titles on. It was just kind of a hook. So maybe, this is only something that could have been done in the past few years, but essentially it's still a really cool spot. And hey, even if you're judging it on the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 ladder matches that have used that kind of contraption, it's still 10 matches in that someone's gone, you know what? Why don't we do this? And it was absolutely incredible. So really, really enjoyable spot there. Frazier as well. He's not having a good night at this point, because he hits a beautiful looking moonsault off the rope, a little springboard action, but gets kicked with a nasty kick right in the face from Johnny Gargano. Uncle Howdy gets involved though. He throws DIY through some tables, the ones that are stacked up on the outside, the old classic spot that you get in TLC matches. And I think it was Andrade did like a sunset bomb on the ladder as well. But eventually, Gacy picks up the victory by picking up those two titles. And again, a really, really fun match, guys. This was one that I expected to be match of the night. And yeah, I'm confident in saying it was match of the night. There were some really, really good moments in this match and some great moments throughout the evening. But for me, this really stole the show. And how could it not, with all that action and all that incredible talent in there as well? Maybe you could say it was a bit of overkill at time, but like they did the best they could. Like there wasn't a lot of downtime basically, and you expect that when there are 12 people plus in the match. I think they quoted 16 in the match. I don't know if it even got higher than that, but let's have a think. The 12 in the match, the 3, it would have been Rowan, would have been 14. No, sorry, 16. No, I'm getting lost. Maybe it was just 16 then. It's a bit late at night to be counting. Right, let's get to some more of these comments here as well. Casper did think that Naomi would win, and of course Naomi did win, and is also glad that the Wyatt Six retained the belt. So am I, mate, and you would have seen everybody on the build-up show agreed with that as well. Wanted that to happen, I should say, and would agree now, I'm sure. Candice going through the table, the ladder, but it was absolutely crazy, wasn't it, mate? Let's move on to the next match, and we're going to get back to the main event later on, don't you worry, guys. But let's move on to the women's Intercontinental title match, a match I was a little bit concerned about because it was in a bit of an awkward spot here, coming straight after a really, really high intense and high energy match. But I think they delivered. It was a different pacing at first, but still using weapons and stuff like that. And you might feel it's overkill, and they probably should have spread some of these matches a little bit differently over night 1 and night 2, but they really did deliver here. Started out with Becky Lynch getting a brand new theme song from the Wonder Years. I saw a little post that she's made online that it's one of her favorite bands. So that's always nice when superstars are able to get things like that. It's something that I think has been a long time coming. As much as I enjoy a theme song, it's not fit her character for quite a while. Now, whether or not this song fits the character, I can't really tell. The presentation is kind of feel a little too fresh to me at the moment to really be able to judge it. It did feel a little bit baby facey in areas of the song. At first I was like, this is fine, it's kind of fits, but then I think it must have been the chorus or something like that. I just felt like this might be a bit better when she's a baby face again. But hey, I'm not against the song, and I'm not against her changing it. As much as I like the old theme song, I do think it was actually a shock that she'd kept that for so long. I mean, it predates the man. It predates. It goes all the way back to steampunk Becky Lynch. So not the biggest surprise that she's changed her theme song, but a noteworthy story at least. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. So the one of the match. One of the match tonight for me, says Casper. A really good match. I know I would say that being a Becky Lynch fan, but it was a really, really good match. I enjoyed it as well, Casper. Again, I know you're a Becky Lynch fan. You're going to always be a little bit biased, of course, but I agree. I think it was a really fun match. Chris is in the house. In your opinion, do you think this Brock Lesnar chant was better than the Raw chant when he came back in 2012? Oh, that's a great question. The reaction was huge because it was so unexpected because of recent kind of stuff around Brock Lesnar and the WWE. So it felt unexpected. It was a big venue, right? It was at MetLife Stadium with a rabid fan base. But maybe the one in 2012 was bigger which might sound weird because it would have been a smaller audience, but no roof and stuff like that. So it might have just simply sounded bigger. But I think that was the biggest shock. At the time, seeing Brock back, and it's a shock now because of the things we've already mentioned, but seeing him come back in 2012 was huge. I mean, he'd been away for, I want to say, 8 years, which felt like a long time at the time. No, maybe 7 years, but either way, I think he left in 2004, didn't he? Yeah, WrestleMania 20. So it would have been 8 years. And it just felt massive, like him being back. He'd been to the UFC, he'd conquered the UFC, and I just never thought he'd come back, and when he did, it was huge. But great question, Chris. Really appreciate that. What do you think? What was the bigger part, this one or 2012? I mean, this was great. I can't wait to watch it back because I did not expect it. In recent years, like you would like that is the like it kind of became a meme. Like if there's gonna, oh yeah, Brock will come back, like, but that's not been the case for a while. So yeah, it kind of balances out, I guess. We'll go back to the Brock Lesnar situation later on, and of course, more chat about the main event. So stay tuned for that, guys. Casper says different theme for Becky was okay. I'm glad that Becky Lynch did retain. Yeah, I think it's a song that we'll probably get used to, if I'm honest. We'll see how we go with that one. Right, started out with Becky just battering Lyra. Well, most of the match was Becky battering Lyra, to be fair, with a kendo stick. So I know Andy was happy. Becky uses the chairs, uses the toolbox, uses zip ties, and beats her up with a wrench, or should I say cable ties and a spanner. She gets hung up on the post Lyra, and she's still getting beaten up there, but this time with the stick. Then Lyra looks like she's grabbing another zip tie. And I thought, oh, she's going to do something else, right? And then she puts her arms over Becky. And she does really well, considering she's trapped, to fight out of this. And she does this, and to kind of pull off these moves. She does like a belly-to-belly slam almost. And like credit where it's due, like has to have Becky land on her wrists and hands. It must have been very uncomfortable. But the zip ties pop out and she has to awkwardly pop them back in. It's really awkward. They even mention it on commentary, like it burst. And I thought, oh, that's what's happened. But she's got another one. She just put another one back on. Is that what she... And I couldn't tell what she'd actually grabbed from the toolbox. I think she didn't get anything. She was pretending to try and find something to cut it, and then Becky kicks it away, right? But I thought she got one. I was going to put one on Becky. So when I saw something on the floor, I thought she dropped that one, and then her one was still on. But no, it looked like her one came loose, and she had to awkwardly push it back in, which was a little bit unfortunate. But after that, man, she still continued to perform really well, despite the kind of handicap she'd put herself back into, if you will. She did a beautiful second rope moonsault, considering she didn't have much control over her hands and arms, and did it from the second rope. Amazing. Therefore, going back into kayfabe, couldn't hook the legs as well. Lyra then, a little while later, would manage to find her way under the ring to get a fire extinguisher and pushes it into the face of Becky Lynch before releasing it into her eyes. Becky running around, by the way, with a kendo stick, potentially you couldn't see, was actually quite funny. Also was Wade Barrett's comment about the SAS and trying to kind of untie the zip ties. He said something, and I think Michael was like, how do you know that? And he was like, I know everything about the SAS. Which was just a bit of a funny line to me. Lyra's finally set free. She starts attacking Becky with a stick herself. She hits a drop kick into the chair, which hits Becky's face, which was quite a hard hitting move. A lot of similar kind of moments like that on this card, weren't there? Then we had Lyra, her face being hit on the exposed turnbuckle. Another exposed turnbuckle spot later on. Maybe there was a bit too much preparedness on this card, but hey, still an enjoyable one. Becky hits the manhandle slam through two chairs. Lyra gets out of it, though. It's only a 2 count. Lyra is then destroyed, basically wrapped up in the chair, and she sells it really well on the outside. She looked like she was on her last legs, not just in this match, but maybe in life. And she looked pretty rough. Now, to really kind of take things home, you got Becky picking up the pole, and she lingers back, and then what do you know, a hand comes in, it's Bayley, and she eventually attacks Becky Lynch after Becky tries to convince her to attack Lyra. I did think it might happen here, but it didn't, and you got to wonder where we're going with this now, because it would lead to eventually Lyra losing, and therefore not being able to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship while Becky is still champion, which is a real shock to me that they did this. As we mentioned earlier on the build-up show, do you really want to take someone away from that division when you've built her up for that? You could argue, as Michael Cole kind of said on commentary, this is a future world champion. Maybe they're going to kind of push her straight towards that picture now. I think that would be a mistake. I think you've made a mid-card star. Let her be a mid-card star for now. But yeah, maybe that the answer to that is taking the title off Becky quite quickly from Bayley instead, because Bayley, of course, did get involved with the match here, but also was a reason for the ending because she went to hit Becky, I should say, with the steel chain, accidentally hits Lyra, and Lyra is pinned because of it after receiving yet another manhandle slam. So bit of a surprising end to this match, but still a very, very enjoyable one overall. Casper says the Becky Lynch match did steal the match of the night for me. Just my opinion, using Toolbox was great. And so glad that Becky won. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's my match of the night, Casper, but hey, I know you like Becky Lynch, so I appreciate you getting a few extra points for that reason alone. But it was very entertaining. Match of the night is a tough one to get on this card because I think it was a show that really delivered. But let's take it back to Chris's comments here as well. Going back to the Brock Lesnar conversation, in my opinion, I think this one was better because it was so unexpected because of the lawsuit and all that. Exactly. So we don't really know, do we? There's a lot of stories going around with that kind of Brock Lesnar Vince McMahon thing, and it's difficult to comment on because we don't know, but there are stories about him being kind of linked to things. There must have been something going on behind the scenes in WWE for them to feel comfortable enough to pull this off. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be a lot of journalists out there reporting on this, so we'll keep our eyes peeled for that as well. But it's one of those situations that we just honestly don't know, do we? There are a lot of rumors. And that's what made this kind of feel surprising, as you say. But you're right, Chris. The crowd went absolutely insane because it was so unexpected. Let's move into, we've just done Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. Again, a very enjoyable match. Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. I mean, at this point, a cage match straight after a TLC and a no holds barred or an ODQ, whatever it was branded as. This is when I was really like, what are they doing? Like, there are so many stipulation-based matches. Look, it was a good one, but at this point, it really did start to, and it's not disrespecting the match, it was still good, but like, it was high intensity like throughout this show pretty much, and a lot of hard hitting moves that you can only take so much of before they feel like the same old thing, because we had this again in the main event as well. But look, I'm not complaining. I enjoyed everything I saw. I just wonder if they could have put these matches on different nights. But no, it was on night 2, the steel cage match between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa for the US title. Jacob Fatu comes out wearing a werewolf mask, which I thought was pretty cool. Solo's in control from the get-go. But the first kind of big offense really comes from Jacob Fatu's moonsault, which Solo kicks out of. The MFTs are not kind of backstage for too long because they come and surround the cage, and then quickly out of nowhere you get Jimmy Uso super kicking Tangaloa to try and even the odds, and then taking out JC Mateo as well. Talatonga is there though, and he attacks Jimmy to make sure that the MFTs are in control very quickly, and Solo tries to leave before Jacob gets the ref to close the door. Now, I saw some complaints about this online where people are looking at it as Jacob basically said to the ref, I don't want to win. I'm coming back as well. Because, all right, he wants to punish his cousin, but I don't know. This is where these matches can be a little tricky when it comes to psychology, right? But hey, can you really judge the psychology of a Samoan werewolf? He's a special kind of character, right? As I say, Solo tried to leave, but he quickly gets control and hits the Samoan spike on Jacob Fatu, who manages to kick out, I should say, at 2. Tala soon gets handcuffs, though, and decides to handcuff Jacob Fatu to the top of the cage. Again, instantly I thought, we've just seen similar spot, right, where someone has their hands restricted, but here a different spot because it's handcuffs and because Jacob, he just fights out of it. Pretty cool spot in itself, but yeah, maybe would have been better suited on a better night, on a different night or a different event. But Solo's face was hilarious trying to sell all this kind of stuff, by the way. Really enjoyed it when you had Solo trying to get towards the cage door and stuff like that. Tala kicks the cage door, by the way, into the two of them, mainly hits Jacob, and Solo falls out the ring and picks up the victory in a way that a slimy heel should. I thought it was a really fun match, a really fun way to end the match. Jimmy then locks JC Mateo and Tanga Loa in the ring with Jacob Fatu, who then does a moonsault off the top of the cage and lands it so perfectly that he bounces straight back up and does his taunt. Those knees and shins and ankles and whatever else must have been hurting at the time, but that adrenaline just shoved the Samoan werewolf back up to his feet and into, again, a fun little pose shakedown as well. So really, really enjoyable stuff. And I think the right decision. I said it on the build-up show. I know Solo might not need it as much as he did when he was the kind of tribal chief replacement Solo. But I'm enjoying what they're doing at the moment. But I do think him winning was probably the right decision. I think he doesn't need it as much as he might have back then to kind of protect his character, because it's a different kind of character now. But I do think him winning is important at the same time. But yeah, a very, very enjoyable match. Casper says Solo versus Jacob Fatu was a good match. I did think Solo would retain the belt, and yep, so did I, Casper. And that's what we actually saw. So I'm happy with the result in that one. Let's move on to what do we see next? Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles. Now, this is the match. And again, I mean no disrespect by this, because something needs to take the foot off the gas a little bit. This ended up being that match. But at the same time, they told a cool story. It was the 20th anniversary of Dominic's SummerSlam kind of involvement, right? Back in 2005. When he was basically on the line, custody of Dominic Mysterio, of course, between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Ironic now that Rey is the good guy still and Dominic is the bad guy, so it kind of leans into, Eddie a lot more. But they said that he was coming out in like SummerSlam, Rey's SummerSlam prototype gear or something like that. I don't know if it meant the actual prototype he got made and then they just expanded on it, or it was inspired by the prototype rather than what Rey wore. I can't quite remember what Rey wore that year. But they kept that theme alive with AJ Styles coming out in the lowrider, dressed as Eddie Guerrero with his own Styles Heat t-shirt and Styles kind of tights as well, just like the ones that he wore back in 2005. Now, the wrestling fashion nerd in me would like to point out that that shirt and those tights do not match. They did not ever get worn together, but I will appreciate two iconic designs going together. I know what they're trying to get at. Also, and surely this is a little nod to this, because I don't know AJ's son. Maybe AJ's son always has bleached blonde hair, but if he doesn't and he dyed it to have a little nod to Dominic in 2005, then I think that's absolutely fantastic as well. So they might not have gone the full way that I'm kind of expecting there with the tributes, but if they did, fair play to him and fair play to AJ's son for that as well. But look, the match itself, inoffensive, wasn't the most exciting match, wasn't the most kind of noteworthy match on the card by any stretch of the imagination, but still a decent match in itself. It was all about the kind of story they were telling between the characters and the kind of history behind SummerSlam and these characters as well. AJ catches Dom in a calf crusher from a splash. I thought it was a nice little segment there. Dom tries the Eddie chair spot and then throws it to AJ, who usually would be the one caught in the act, but instead just wore the shirt, wore the chair, kind of like a shirt, and laid it on the floor and started twitching. And I was like, no, he hit me with it, which I thought was really, really funny. And kind of works with AJ's character at the moment as well, the way he's been chasing Dom around and all the kind of different outfits and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was something that worked very well. The calf crusher was used again, and this time more Eddie references because the boot was taken off. And we saw a replay a little bit later on where we saw Dominic loosening the boot, and again, that's something we saw with Eddie Guerrero, another one of his dirty tactics, which he beat Kurt Angle with, I believe. So yeah, nice little throwback there as well. Ref got knocked. The boot was used, and then hit the frog splash. Gets the 1, 2, 3. A pretty fun match for me as well for what it was. Casper says Dominic Mysterio winning and retaining the Intercontinental Championship, the greatest Intercontinental Champion, and he retained the belt. Me too, mate. I'm glad he kept it as well. I'm hoping we see more from him going forward, and be interesting, as I said earlier on, the build up, how they play into the changes in the Judgment Day's dynamics now that we've lost the 2 women's tag titles. So interesting now that the men have theirs still. Dominic has his still. Will we get Liv returning soon, even if it's not to wrestle, just to kind of be in and around the clubhouse, essentially. So we'll see where we go with that one. Then we had Stephanie McMahon coming out and giving the announcement that on the night there were apparently 60,561 people, and they did the same old thing that they do for WrestleMania these days, where they pretend that somehow a combined number that is legit for the 2 days of 113,722. Bit of a stretch to act like they were that many people, but really they're just adding up the 2 figures. Yeah, there would have been some that went to night 1 and not 2, some that went to 2 and not 1, but I just find it weird when they promote it like that. But anyway, credit to him. That's not me trying to dig WWE. Fantastic weekend of shows overall, and fantastic effort to get that many people into MetLife Stadium for SummerSlam. So yeah, really enjoyed it, and I think this is a sign of things to come. As I said, on the build-up shows over the weekend, 2-night events are here to stay. It's not just for WrestleMania and SummerSlam now. Surely we're going to see the Royal Rumble go in the same direction. I mean, they even announced that SummerSlam is coming to us 2 nights again next year already. So yeah, we'll see how we go with the rest of the big PLEs as well. Now, talking big PLEs, we got to talk Big Match John. Now, Big Match John was going into this as a babyface against Cody Rhodes, who is also a basic babyface, but a lot of people expected to turn heel. What we got was a big surprise that was unrelated to Cody Rhodes, but Cody did toy around with our emotions as far as maybe acting a little heelish, and the fans, they booed him quite a bit. Not as much as it could be. It could have been a lot worse. I think they've stayed strong in this by not turning Cody. Now, look, let me know in the comments what you think about this, guys. Should they have turned Cody? Should Cena have been heel again, or should they have done a better face turn? Because I kind of do feel like the face turn's been rushed. But people wanted to cheer him. So they've kind of brushed the heel turn under carpet. I think that's a conversation for another day, where maybe we get some of the other guys on the channel to have a little bit of a discussion about this, as well as whether or not his heel turn was a success ultimately, or his heel run, because the heel turn was still a great moment. And there were good things in the heel run, but has it been a bit of a waste? Again, another conversation for another day. But let's get into the match itself. We, again, didn't know what was going to happen as far as twists and turns, but it was a crazy match. Again, I'll try and hit you some of the highlights here as well, just as I refresh. Once again, 3:30 in the morning here in the UK. Been a long old night of streams, and as you can see, I'm flying solo on this, so I appreciate your comments and keeping me company, even if you're just lurking in the background. Thank you for joining us. Now, this started out with another special entrance. We didn't get any special entrances in night 1, which I think was a bit of a disappointment as well. But this one starts with a Dusty Rhodes kind of audio intro for Cody Rhodes. Now, there was something a little off about this. I did wonder if it was AI, and I've seen other people ask the same question. I've also seen a social media post screenshot of apparently Cody's sister saying, no, they were just different promos stitched together, which is what I assumed at first, until he said the thing about 10 years. And I was like, wait, are you referring to your own passing now? I was a little confused because I don't know what the source was for these. So I'm sure that will come out in days to come. But I don't know every Dusty Rhodes promo, but they didn't strike me as ones I recognize. So, yeah, interesting. But, hey, look, cool little touch either way. And if it is AI, I mean, that's a bit of a controversial thing these days. But if the family agree with it, then I guess the best you can do. But apparently it wasn't anyway. Now, Cody comes out on the Codyvator. It is back, baby. And he is wearing one of his cool masks as well. But once again, we have an awkward production situation where they cut to a camera and it shows some cameraman's head in front of Cody Rhodes, which was a little awkward. But hey, I don't want to get too hung up on production issues here. Cena comes out, talking about production. It starts with the black graphics, and then boom, the color hits. The old John Cena, the real John Cena is back. He's got his swagger back as well as his graphics, and he makes his way to the ring, and people are jumping up and down in excitement for this. Look, I've said it time and time again. Cena is not my favorite wrestler growing up. I was past it at that time. I liked early John Cena. I liked the word life stuff. Yeah. I spent many years in the We Hate Cena camp, but I always respected him as a performer and the things he did for WWE. And as the years went on, just liked the nostalgia acts myself. But it is so funny how similar this is to Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18. Like, I know Andy mentioned it earlier on. Apparently, it's one of Cody's favorite matches. It is so similar. Like, watching the clips of Hogan recently from that period. And again, that was kind of I'd missed that stuff as well. I was young. I was watching the later years of Hogan, and I was very young when he was doing these kind of main stuff, and the biggest stuff was from just before I was born anyway. But like, I got that, and The Rock was my guy, and I could feel that at WrestleMania 18 in that period, and it feels so similar at the moment, the way they're treating Cody Rhodes. We're not quite where The Rock was as far as being turned on. But Cena feels very similar to the way people just adored and idolized. You see grown men, and you understood what Hogan meant because of what those people were doing. And I think people who are growing up in this era as Cody fans are going to be feeling the same way about John Cena. This in the tail end of it, like I saw for Hogan. And man, it's the parallels are crazy to me. But yeah. A huge match with so much to talk about. We'll get into it in just a moment. First, we'll get to Casper's comment about it. So the footage last match between John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and John Cena didn't know what was going to happen, but it was a really good match. Yeah, it was a good match. It was very entertaining. Look, we'll start from the very beginning and some of the big moments, as I say. Yeah, the big entrances. John's was simply the big entrance because he's had his old entrance back, essentially. Cody had a little bit of a smile as Cena threw his hat into the crowd. And already we start to get boosts for Cody here and a lot of love for John Cena. People have wanted to just cheer for Cena all along. And again, man, so similar. Hogan came back as a member of the NWO and they wanted him to be red and yellow Hogan. So, man, it's crazy, the parallels. Steps were used very early in this. Steps were thrown onto Cody's arm. He started selling the arm. I thought that was going to be a big part of the match. It wasn't as much as I expected it to be. Cena does his usual stuff, the kind of setting up for the 5-knuckle shuffle, ducking, hitting the body backdrop and all that kind of stuff. Spinning backdrop, gets massive cheers for that act, that nostalgia act almost. Cody does the same, he's the equivalent of that and gets all the boos, and the same old chant starts as well. It's not a very big one, but it's certainly there. We got our first AA and the kick out for it. It feels very early, but we're about to get a lot of finishes. It's something we see at WrestleManias. It's something we see in main events, but it's creeping over into this now, and maybe a debate in itself about how much over the top stuff we do get in these matches. But look, the drama's there, and I do enjoy it, I gotta say. There's a pile driver by Cody Rhodes, which is another example of him kind of feeling a little bit naughty here. Wade Barrett really sells the danger of the pile driver. What else did we get? Cody getting frustrated that Cena wouldn't move after the pile driver, goes to pick him up. Cena jumps up himself, springs into action, hits with an AA, and just as Cody tries to get him up, essentially. But yeah, doesn't end up leading to a pinfall, as he doesn't even get to attempt it, I don't believe. There's a pop-up powerbomb, which I thought was interesting as well. A little reference to Kevin Owens, maybe. Little reference to a kind of heelish nature, maybe. Only gets a 2, though, and quickly into the STFU. Nice lot of reversals in this match, by the way. As much as there was a lot of the same old moves, like they were kind of clever how they got into him, essentially. Cena hit Cody Rhodes with a mic on the outside of the ring and then hits him with a kind of sunset bomb, which I feel like we had like 3 different versions of on this card. A new move for John Cena out of his moves of doom, right? Then there was an AA through the announce table, off of one through the other as Cena jumped down. Incredible, man. Like I mentioned it earlier on, the nickname Big Match John. You got to give him credit. He was amazing in this match. They really had a fantastic match. Say what you want about their kind of decisions and stuff like that, but I think performance-wise, they really both did knock it out of the park. Not long after this, though, Cody Rhodes tries for his own finisher, hits his crossroads, only gets the 2. Cena does his famous diving leg drop over the back of the shoulders and neck. The kind of famous type thing off the second rope. Doesn't work out for him, but I think it was for a table, if I'm not mistaken. No, it wasn't. We haven't got the tables yet. They start teasing the tables very, very soon because there's another AA, what do you believe? And it's only a 2 count. They end up in the crowd. Cody suplexes Cena onto the guardrail. There's a lot of kind of hard-hitting action on the outside, as you would expect, with weapons and things like that. And then they disappear under the ramp. And they come up through the Codyvator, the lift, essentially. And it's a great shot. I talked about the awkward production shot earlier on. This one's fantastic. The lighting, the steam, the smoke, whatever it is, as Cena is lifting Cody on his shoulders, ready for the AA. He comes out of the lift as it arrives, and he hits him with the AA, a very hard-hitting one, onto the ramp itself. Cody throws Cena through a table not long after this, hits him with a crossroads, still only gets the 2. Cody uses a chair, then the bottom buckle twice as well. Really, really looking like a heel or leading towards maybe turning heel here, at least for Cody Rhodes. But quickly, again, John Cena takes control, hits him with an STF, which again, I feel like Cole's calling the STFU again, which if you're unfamiliar, the STFU became the STF and the FU became the AA because naughty kind of hinting at the words there. John Cena's character didn't really suit that at the time. They moved away from those terms. The FU in response to the F5 and the STFU coming from the STF anyway. Cody reverses and does the same, starts using the buckle again. Using the rope again and the buckle. Then it's 3 crossroads, and we've seen this a few times before now, but it kicks out. John Cena kicks out, and it was a real shock at this point. Cena also ducks a title hit, hits 2 AAs, throws the belt, doesn't want to use it himself, hits an avalanche AA off the ropes, and doesn't pick up the win because Cody stops. Throws Cena through the table. Cody stops him for going for another one. This time the avalanche was going to go through the table to be a bigger one. Cody stops it, does a kind of awkward Cody cutter from the top rope. It is, I won't lie, it's not the most majestic looking one you'll see. A little bit dodgy. And then after that, Cena's slowly getting up, and a nice little kind of moment, actually, where Cody Rhodes salutes to John Cena. Obviously, something linked to Cena's kind of career in the past. And Cena slowly turns around, and Cody hits him one more time with a standard crossroads and picks up the victory. It was a very, very surprising way to end it for me, but a nice emotional moment to end on. Quite poetic, I don't know if it's going to be something people compare in the future, because it's not his last match, so it's not quite Shawn Michaels' "I'm Sorry I Love You" to Ric Flair, which wasn't his last match either, to be fair, in the end, but hey, we thought it was at the time. But look, very, very emotional in this, and I think they played really well, considering they would have had, I think, been a lot of pressure to turn Cody heel, and they didn't do it. Where we go now, I don't know. As far as Cody Rhodes goes, I mean, he's champion again. People are going to start to get sick of it, I'll be honest. And I do think it's wise to turn him heel at some stage, and probably a good idea to not do it here, to kind of find a different way to kind of get in so that we get 2 things, essentially, because it was all about Cena tonight. Cena gives Cody the title emotionally. And again, I'm thinking, is The Rock going to come out here and kind of be like, whoa, what's going on? I don't approve of this. No. Cody leaves. And then Brock Lesnar's music hits. Brock Lesnar is back. I mean, again, we opened the show talking about this already, guys, but wow, I'm still in shock that Brock Lesnar is back. Let me know in the comments what you think of the show overall and what you think of the return of Brock Lesnar and the way the main event went down. Look, I'm happy with it. It went on kind of long. There was a lot of finishes and it was over the top, but sometimes we don't need the big return in the match, and we don't need the heel turn. And, it kind of ended up being what Lucas expected, really, of just 2 baby faces at the end of the match in respect. I did think that Cena was faking it. That was my kind of thinking of like, if it doesn't go that way, and there is a kind of twist, it's going to be that Cena was faking it and he was just luring Cody in, because they quickly turned him. They had a few kind of things, sprinkled in here and there where he looked a little uncomfortable and he looked like he regretted things, but they ramped it up in the past week or so. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to some of these comments here. Casper says the Beast Incarnate OMG moment. Didn't see that. Brock Lesnar coming back. I'm glad he waited to the match to show up at the end of the match. Lots of finishes in this match, as you say. Casper did think this was the last man standing match between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. It wasn't, but yeah, didn't know what was going to happen going into it. But yeah, it was a really good match overall. Sludge Sports is back in the house. Says, sorry I'm late overall. Overall, this show was better than night one. I completely agree with that, Sludge. Good to have you in the house, even if you've just arrived at the tail end of it. Don't you worry, mate. You can always go back and watch the rest of the show once we wrap up, of course. But yeah, appreciate you joining. And I agree. Night two was far superior to night one, and makes me feel a little bit better about night one in a weird way as well. So interesting. We've talked about quite a lot on these streams about how to manage the 2-night thing, and that's something they've really got to look into, because if you keep booking like this, as Lucas said, people are not going to go to night one as much as they go to night two. So I said I literally fell asleep during the first match, not because it was a bad match. I was just tired, and I woke up at the Dom and AJ match. The ending was insane. Brock Lesnar is back. It was a huge ending, Sludge. Yeah, look, if you get time, mate, definitely go back and watch the other matches. Hope you don't get to see spoilers, in which case don't watch the beginning of this stream just yet. Make sure you watch it and come back and watch it later on for my original instant reaction thoughts. But a really, really fun show, and a really fun set of matches, especially in that kind of first and middle part of the show as well. Casper says, I really enjoyed the lift angle in the match. Me too, mate. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, but glad for a clean finish in this match. A really entertaining match. And Cody Rhodes is the new champion, playing with our emotions. Some great points there. Again, the Cody Vader was quite fun, wasn't it, coming up in that lift. But important, to every now and then have a clean finish. I think I remember saying a similar kind of stuff around. It wasn't clean, but we don't always have to have 50 people come back at the end of WrestleMania to do it like they did when Cody won the title. So, yeah, this kind of settles things a little bit more for the future as well, so that when we do get the surprises, they're huge. And even if they do come, as you say, outside of the match, that's something as well. But yeah, Cody really was playing with the emotions there, wasn't he? It was definitely playing into something. They know something is up, it feels like. So where does Cody go? I really don't know. Who's his next challenger? Because Cena and Lesnar seem to be the next thing. Why didn't Cody come out and help? By the way, maybe that's what really makes it a heel. Because he could have supported. He could have backed. He could have gone, hold on, let me just see what Lesnar's going to do here. Hold on. Don't do that to John. He's a nice man now. Anyway, look. Really fun show. Really, really did enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining me on this instant reaction review. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It's not just reviews here on the channel. We also do our famous build-up shows, which we did for both Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Do them for all the PLEs, basically, whenever we can, to try and get you guys and us guys hyped up and in the mood for the big PLE. I hope we did that for you tonight as well as on yesterday's one. Again, we did a build-up show for Saturday and for Sunday. So if that's the kind of thing you enjoyed, and subscribe and check out that content when it comes to you for our next PLE, which of course is going to be Clash in Paris. One at a bit of a reasonable time for us here in Europe as well. So I'm looking forward to covering that. And as was mentioned on the build-up show last night, potentially covering more of the European tour in detail as well, just like we did with the last one. That was a lot of fun on this channel. So appreciate everyone that's joined us for those streams, everyone that's joined us throughout this SummerSlam weekend, and of course everyone that's joined us here for the instant reaction review. It's not just that on this channel though. We've also got interviews with some of your favorite WWE superstars. So give us a subscribe, go check out some of those older videos on this channel as well. Casper says, it's been a pleasure. Have a good night. Thank you so much, Casper, for tuning in and for keeping me company with these comments. It's been a pleasure having your comments as always, and the others that spoke to us throughout this stream as well. Krish, who else do we have? Kieran earlier on, and of course Sludge Sports, and those lurking in the background. We appreciate you as well. If you just tuned in now, we're starting to wrap up, but feel free to go back to the beginning of the stream to see my original reactions to the Brock Lesnar return and all the crazy action on SummerSlam Night 2. But I've been Scott. This has been the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. You've been watching the Instant Reaction Review. I'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.